Hi, and welcome to another tutorial. In this one, we are going to make a plane system that they have in the start of like Fortnite and pubg and basically those battle royale games, right? So we are going to be making a way to, this is going to be randomly spawning around in a circle until a predefined time is gone, and then it's going to spawn a plane on the location, random location, and it's going to travel across, always crossing the middle point that we have set. Wouldn't be fun though if this was all we're going to do, so let's make the radius like 80,000. Let's get our plane and scale that up to normal size, and let's sit back and watch. So we actually need this to be up though, so let's do like 10,000 in there. It's going to start generating its thing until the timer is set, and there we go, there's the plane, and it's gonna make its way across. That's pretty much all we're gonna do today. Yeah, so let's just get started. I have an empty project here. It's completely empty. I've just made a new map and set that to be the default. So let's get started with our system. In here, I'm gonna make a new folder. I'm gonna call this one drop system. Player drop system. Yeah. I'm gonna make a new class. I'm gonna call this one center of map. I'm also gonna make a new class. It's gonna be the start point spawner. Start point spawner will have a couple variables. First one is our center of map reference, editable and exposed on spawn. The next one, we're gonna add the axis, which is gonna be a vector. You might want to change this here as well, so let's do that, editable and expose that as well. And we're gonna add radius. That's also gonna be editable and exposed on spawn. Back on our center of map, on begin play, we can now spawn actor from class. Class is our start point spawner. Transform comes from our scene root. So we're gonna get the world location from that. Get the rotation. Get the right vector and multiply that by a float. And the float that we're gonna multiply it with is our radius. So we need to set that up. Radius and instance editable and float. Once that is done, we can add these two together. That goes into there. Radius goes into there. Center ref is our self. Now, the axis, I'm going to set it to 1, and you're probably going to want that as well. It's going to be like how you would expect it, right? It's going to rotate around the Z-axis, so around this way. If you wanted to rotate anywhere else, this is where you would change that. Now, on our start point spawner, we're going to do a couple of things. So over on our begin play, we're going to leave begin play, but over on our event tick, we're going to promote our delta seconds. So we have that. And we're going to add a sequence. The very first thing that we need is to check if our center ref is valid. If it is not valid, delay 0.001, custom event, recheck, and then call that. Goes into there like so. However, if it is valid, we want to get the world location from the scene root. That is going to be our point to rotate around. Now we're getting into territory that I'm not too familiar with, so I'm not going to explain it too much. I'm going to leave some links in the description if you want to learn more about these things that we are going to make now. However, I'm just going to do it and follow along if you just want the result. So the default scene route, we're going to get the world location from that. We're going to subtract the location from our point to rotate around. Like so. Then we're going to get our axis and we're going to cross product that with the subtraction. And then out from our subtraction, we are the return order for subtraction. We're also going to cross product that with the return order of the first cross product. Once that is done, we can normalize, and that is going to be our axis. I have already made that. Let's see. Get rid of that. Set axis up there, like so. Once this is done, we can make a new function. This one is going to be get location. It's going to be a pure function. It's going to be an output of a vector, and the output is going to be loc. And the location comes from our scene root. Then we subtract that from our point to rotate around, get our delta seconds, multiply that with our rotation speed, so we need to add that, so r speed. Then out from the return node of our vector, we can rotate vector around axis. The angle is the return node from our float calculation, and the axis is our point to rotate around. That is going to give us our location. Now, if you go back to the event graph, we can now do a set actor location. Set actor location. Location is our get location, pure function over there, and we're good to go. Now let's add a debug so you can see it in action. It's going to start from our center get world location ourselves. It's going to start from ourselves. We are currently in the spawner, so we are going to be the one rotating around the point to rotate around, which is our center. I'm going to do 3 direction, 5 thickness. And now if I go in the world, place down my center of map, up the radius to maybe like 500, then do a simulate. That is a bit wonky, isn't it? Doing something wrong. And it's my bad. The axis, this is my bad. The axis, we need into the axis, of course, and then we're going to add the return node of this back to the return of the point. That's going to be our location. If I now go ahead play, nothing is actually working. Be fine. The R speed, we haven't set the R speed, so let's do that. 50. And there we go. Now we got our rotation. If you were to change the axis, as I mentioned, so we can change this, and then now we're rotating on the x-axis. And if you want like a diagonal, you can add those two together, and that's going to give like a diagonal. Right, we're going to leave it at 001 though for this tutorial. Back on our start point spawner, we don't technically need this debug anymore, but I'm going to keep it anyway. I'm going to add a delay here. Now, this is where you would do your code about getting people into the plane, you know, and getting people ready. Like when the game is ready to start, you would fire this off. I'm going to do a delay though of like 5 seconds. I'm going to do a custom event. Call this one started. I'm going to call started once my delay is out. I'm going to make a new variable, no, new blueprint. It's going to be the start point. Open that up right away and make a new variable. This is going to be our center of map ref. Center of map, editable, and expose that back to our start point spawner. Now we can spawn actor from class. Class is our start point. Center of map comes from our center ref. Now we're going to get the world location and the rotation from ourselves, the start point spawner, and plug in both of those respectively. Once all of this is done, we can destroy the actor. We no longer need it. Over on our start point on begin play, we're going to get our scene route and we're going to set the world rotation. Now, what do we want it to face? Well, we want to get ourselves, get our location. Out from this vector, you can do a find look at rotation, and we want to find it at the center of map. Like so. That goes into the return node. So now while this is rotating around, it's always going to be facing the center of the map. And we want that for our plane later on. Now we want to get our center of map. Get distance 2, and actually this is the other actor. Get the return node and multiply that by 2. The reason for this is the distance, by the way. So if I do distance here. So basically, the reason why we're multiplying it by 2, right? So we are rotating around here. We're rotating around this point. It is going to get the distance from there to there. However, we want the plane to be able to fly from there to the opposite direction, so we need to multiply that by 2. We can make a new blueprint class. This one is going to be our stop point. leave that as blank. Spawn actor from class. Once we set our distance, stop point, we're gonna get our scene route, get the world location, get the world rotation, get the forward vector because we are facing. We have set our lookout direction now, and we can multiply that by the distance that we calculated up there. Then we can add these two together, and that is going to give us our location. Right, so now we got our start point and we got our stop point. However, we don't really have any way to visualize this, so I'm going to import a mesh and I'll be right back. Okay, I have added the commercial plane from the marketplace. It's free. I'm going to make a new blueprint class. This one's going to be an actor. I'm going to call this one BP plane, drop plane. Yeah, drop plane. I'm going to add a scale mesh to this, and it's going to be the plane. Now, if you look at this, it's looking fine and dandy. However, you can see that the x-axis, the forward vector is that way. So if we were to start this now, and we already know that we are facing the forward direction, it's going to start flying this way. So we want to rotate this 90 degrees. Like so. I'm also going to, for demonstration, I'm just going to do 0.01 on the axis, on the scale, because we're doing a small one for now. We're going to add two new variables. One is going to be a vector. It's going to be exposed and editable. This is going to be our destination. The next one is going to be the plane speed, also exposed and editable. Back at our start point, we can now create a spawn actor. Not that one. Spawn actor from class. Class is our BP plane. BP drop plane. We're just going to yoink the entire transform from our scene route. So transform. That's going to be the transform of the plane. So we want everything to be the same. I'm going to set the plane speed to be 0.05. We're going to get the default, get the row location from the scene route. That is going to be our destination. Now, if we go to our plane and we go to our tick event, we're going to get our delta seconds, and we're going to multiply that by the plane speed. Then we're going to get our default scene route, get the world location from that, and then we're going to lerp vector between the our destination, our location, and the destination, and the return out of the multiplication float goes up there, and we can just set world location directly from that. See if we've forgotten anything. It's gonna wait for 5 seconds, I think we said. There we go. There's our plane. It found its route, and it's going to its destination. Let's just make sure that it actually crosses and goes to the other side. Stop in the middle. There we go. That's our little plane. Now you would add the ability for people to jump out of it and stuff like that, but you guys can figure that out. It's shouldn't be too hard. So what you could do in order to do that is on your plane, you could maybe just like on your plane set up a I don't know, an anchor point up here, and then have the players up there and then invisible, and then do a view target with blend to a camera that is on the drop plane that goes like this, and that you can rotate around. And then when people press F, they just get dropped. You could do something like that. But for now, this is how we're gonna do it. Let's also make sure that when we go big, so we can set the radius up to, let's say 40,000. Oh, let's say 80,000. And then once that is done, we can just get this in the air. So I'm gonna do like 8,000 maybe. Maybe that's too little. Let's see. And it's gonna start generating. Okay, so we got the speed thing. Let's actually fix that. The start point. Not the start point, sorry. The center of map. Open up the spawner. At the very beginning, we have the begin play. So I'm gonna get the rotation speed. And I'm going to set that to be a random float in range from 1, do 999, 999. Something like that. Alright, play. It's gonna start generating its thing up here until it finds its desired spot, and then the plane is starting to go. So that's pretty much it. That's what we're gonna do in this tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and join our Discord. It's kind of amazing over there. Until next time, bye bye.